like to give a special thanks to Magic X Beats, produced this track, Proclaim Your Nationality. I never would have thought it would be this way, to proclaim my nationality. I got a birthright inheritance, Europeans don't want you to have an actuality. I never would have thought it would be this way, to proclaim my nationality. I got a birthright inheritance, Europeans don't want you to have an actuality.
Thank you for tuning in to WDRBMedia, the voice of the community, the only station giving you double the information and inspiration. You are listening to What Is Your Nationality? And I'm your host, Shem L. I am the author of several books, including Land of the Free, which you can purchase on my website, sheml.com. That's SHEM-EL.com. And on this episode, I'm glad to present to you the second half of my interview with none other than Aseer the Duke of Tears. And I'm very excited to present this to you. I'm happy to present this to you. For those who have had the opportunity to listen to the first half, I know that you've received a lot of information. He dropped a lot of knowledge. And while some of the information may seem controversial to some of the things that were stated, I can definitely let you know that this brother, his intention is to help wake us up to the realities of what's going on, to get to the truth, because a lot of truth is held back from us as a people. And since I first had this interview with the brother, I've received a lot of feedback from people. Initially, this interview with him was done via live on Facebook, and then I went ahead to the process of doing the edits for the radio show. So again, as before in the first half of the interview that I did, this half will also be edited, of course, to take out profanity and other statements that may seem inflammatory and offensive to some sections of people. But you will get a lot of knowledge on this one. I would also say, before I continue on, before I forget, when you go to my website, sheml.com, SHEM-EL.com, you also have the opportunity to participate and enroll in my coaching program, which is known as Trauma to Triumph Training, where we deal with generational trauma, specifically into racialized trauma, otherwise known as post-traumatic slave syndrome. And it's all for the purpose of helping us get back whole again and getting back into our higher self. So, and also in addition, I also wanted to let it be known that, as always, as I always do and will continue to do until the event, this coming January of 2022, we will have our first socioeconomic conference in North Carolina, in Durham, North Carolina, and details will be revealed on this show as they develop. So you are all invited to attend. It's going to be a great event. So with that stated, just getting back into what I was saying about the brother, I just want to speak a little more about the information that is covered, that was covered last week and was covered this week. As I mentioned before, I have received a lot of feedback, a lot of great comments, a lot of things. There were some who disagreed with certain points he made from a historical standpoint. But again, one thing, and you will find this is the great thing about it. In this second half of this interview that you will be hearing shortly, he will actually give you references. As a matter of fact, that is the question that I ask him. That's the first question I start off with on this second half. Basically, where to start with the research. How can we research this to find this out to be true? And he does not disappoint. He gives you a full list of the books that you can go and research for yourself. Because on this show, What Is Your Nationality? We are about educating the people, and we cannot educate you without giving you the tools that you need to do your own independent research. It's not about believing me or anyone else that you hear on this air. It's about you actually going and doing the research for yourself, checking it out for yourself and verifying it to see if it's true or if it's not true. And that's what makes us unique. You won't get that on the news. You won't get the that encouragement. You'll get information and be expected to believe it at face value. And that's a shame because it causes a lot of confusion in the society. But as long as we have shows like mine, What Is Your Nationality, and others that are actually putting out the truth and giving people the alternative and encouraging people to do the independent research, I think we will be a lot better as a people, particularly in knowing about this nationality aspect, because nationality is the order of the day. Nationality is the one thing that has been kept from us as a people, knowledge of it, and they still do it to this day. If it wasn't important, there would not have been such a concentrated effort to keep us unaware of it. It does exist. It's in the law books, but it's not taught in the schools. It's not spoken about in detail in the media. And this is the purpose of this show. So I'm definitely excited for you to listen to the second half. We do have to take a brief pause for the cause. But after that, we will jump right into the second half of my interview with Aseer, the Duke of Tears. And for that, I appreciate you tuning in. You are listening to What Is Your Nationality? And I'm your host, Shem L. You are tuned into WDRBMedia, the voice of the community, the only station giving you double the information and inspiration. We will be right back after the break.
Hey, look, I pray you catch a wave that doesn't subside. This for the nappy heads in heaven, with a nappy head Christ by their side. I pray you catch a wave that doesn't subside. This for the nappy heads in heaven, with a nappy head Christ by their side. Yeah. May your streets be paved with gold. Yeah. Hope my whole hood make it home. Yeah. May your streets be paved with gold. Yeah. Hope my whole hood make it home. Yeah. Cause the world can be toxic, especially when your skin look like chocolate. At one point they sold us for profit, but we made it out of the gauntlet we chosen. Yeah. Oh my mama, the south side still holding. Yeah. Go for broke for the ones that are broken. Yeah. Please don't make me no hashtag or slogan. My whole hood is golden. That's why I pray you catch a wave that doesn't subside. This for the nappy heads in heaven, with a nappy head Christ by their side. I pray you catch a wave that doesn't subside. This for the nappy heads in heaven, with a nappy head Christ by their side. Yeah. May your streets be paved with gold. Yeah. Hope my whole hood make it home. Yeah. May your streets be paved with gold. Yeah. Hope my whole hood make it home. Yeah. Cause they riding with choppers. It might turn your table to pasta. Don't hardly see daughters at altars. Probably cause there ain't no more fathers, they stole them. Yeah. Put in cages by racists patrolling. Yeah. The hood is a lane to the pins like we bowling. Yeah. Please don't make us no hashtags or slogans. Yeah. Black people are golden. That's why I pray you catch a wave that doesn't subside. This for the nappy heads in heaven, with a nappy head Christ by their side. I pray you catch a wave that doesn't subside. This for the nappy heads in heaven, with a nappy head Christ by their side. Yeah. May your streets be paved with gold. Yeah. Hope my whole hood make it home. Yeah. May your streets be paved with gold. Yeah. Hope my whole hood make it home.
I hope you make it home. I hope you make it home. I hope you make it home. Oh, I hope you make it home. I hope you make it home. I hope you make it home. Yeah.
I hope you make it home.
I hope you make it home. I hope you make it home. I hope you make it home.
I hope you make it home.
One city, one country, one state. Some place to be nobody. Some place to be. Some place you wouldn't know probably. Yeah. Yeah. If Chappelle moved to Ghana to find his peace, then I'm rolling where the service always roaming. I'm packing my bags and going. It's a challenging act. It's a balancing act. Visit beautiful places, it's more out here than the trap. Houses in Long Island, they always found him. House in the South, a nigga barely got out. Sunny LA, remember calls with Dr. Dre. He told me, don't let the palm trees fool you, be safe. Me and my higher self, we often would speak. Somehow we lost the connection, might meet a Joshua tree. And it's been bothering me. Too many wavy women, gotta log out of IG. Can't be my age DMing, no kidding. It's hard to move like a civilian. I write the truth cause I live it, not like you musical. We did it big and they bigots, they rather shoot than write tickets. What it feel like to go get it, what it feel like to go miss it. In one city, one country, one state. Some place to be nobody. Some place to be. Some place you wouldn't know probably. Some place to be nobody. Dog bought a plane, said let's go to Paris. That's where baguettes are from, French bread that's long and narrow. I like the other definition, rectangular carrots. The concept of the song is rather esoteric. This girl said in Grenada we should go get married. Broke the meaning down of the Virgin Mary. And you got your own place. My favorite part of the night when you text me that you made it home safe. I'm contemplating at the home base how I'm used to breakfast in the ghetto sipping OJ. That's a picture right there, a moment in time. Before anybody wanted a photo of mine. Before the internet energy and social decline destroyed the vibe, fooling us with the headlines, keeping us blind. Vultures eat you alive. Take heed to the signs. Wishing I find.
And so yeah, definitely things are mixed up. And I wanted to, in conclusion, because I appreciate your time here and just building. I would like to ask you this, Aseer. if some, because I'm sure at that time there were people who asked you, may have took you to the side and wanted to know more. If a young person was to come to you now and ask, like, where do I start? All this information, this is a lot. Besides, of course, checking out your videos and your work, what would you guide them to? What would you say, like, is the first step as far as research, either book or online search? What would you say?
The first thing, what always attracted me to the Moors was, and then, the Moor Science Temple of America was, or is, the idea that the whole movement is really based on self, knowledge of oneself. But the tenets of that, love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality, are all what are considered or are known as virtues. So virtue is something that our people seem to negate because we live in this criminal-based society where we have come to believe that criminality amongst original people, our people, is somehow the norm, or like that's how we always were. But we are not a criminal people. That was never our bag. We were never the type of people out here trying to, like, we were the ones saving humanity, period. And they'll tell you that, as much as they want to say the Moors enslaved people. Like, they'll show you Moors from Africa, not even Moors, they'll show you Congolese, East African, Swahili speakers wearing marked up feathers. And then they'll say, oh, look what the Moors was doing in the Belgian Congo. They wasn't even Moors. They was all Eastern speakers. They were Swahili speakers. They wasn't speaking no Arabic. They wasn't speaking no Moorish, Mograban, no Latin, no nothing. And let's keep it real. Most of the so-called colonialism that happened in so-called Africa was initiated by Black European noble monarchs, or what they consider noble monarchs, who used white decoys to run the rest of Europe while they went into Africa to do what they was doing. But we are so into making the white man God and making him so infallible that he's so powerful that he just did it all himself, and that never sat right to me. He ain't even been bathing for 150 years. Some people that look like us is puppeting them too. And it's a vice versa thing. They're working together. So any youngster that's coming into this now, what I would do first is acknowledge yourself. Ask yourself the questions that you need to ask, especially if you were put into situations to throw you off of your adulthood, such as molestation, such as verbal abuse, such as being deprived of your father, such as being deprived of your mother, such as being forced into Black boule circumstances, like having to go to cotillions, or being put in the Jack and Jill programs, or putting in situations around people that are trying to get you to negate who you are. Assess those things that have happened to you and come to grips with them before you try to move forward and try to cover it up with this new knowledge, because it's still going to be there. Mm-hmm. Just because you got right knowledge doesn't make you a good person, a right person. Just because you are a Moor or Moorish American and understanding empire and going into that doesn't mean that you have good character. You know what I mean? Like, it's certain things that have to be within you first. You can have all of that and then not be a loyal person. So what you should understand first is that love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, or being virtuous is actually the right way of humanity. That's how we're supposed to be. It's not something to aspire to. It's something that you really are if you give yourself a chance. But if you constantly believe what you hear on rap songs and what the DNC and the CCP is putting out there, that white supremacy, critical race theory, white people is always going to control you, Black people are always going to be at the bottom, there's never no real hope, you're always going to be under the control of somebody if you into all of that type of mind control dogma, then this ain't for you. Because, and I suggest you stay away from more science and stuff, because it's going to tear you up. Right. The other thing you might want to do is study self. So much so that you practice things like that are not practiced today, like indifference, like keeping your opinion to yourself, like reading about something before you speak on it. Like taking time to research something from the opposite point of view. Don't always research things from the perspective that you want to prove your point right. Research from the perspective that your point is wrong. And then you will see the opposite, that it actually is right if it is. See what I'm saying? Do the opposite. Also, hit myriad of different sources and scholars. If you can verify one thought in 7 different sources, you're good. If you get it in 10, you're golden. But out of those 10 sources, 7 to 10 sources that you get, you also need to look into at least 3 other sources that negate that. So this way, when a debater or somebody else comes to you with an opposite point of view, you're not thrown off. And you not feel like you're missing something because you made yourself aware of the other side of the argument. So now you don't have to be so possessive with what you're speaking because you've accepted that there is another version of the argument. Therefore, you're not trying to just make your argument right. Stop talking, stop getting in conversations with people and just waiting for your chance to talk. Listen to what the individual is saying to you. Practice active listening and divine indifference. Learning to concern your opinion and keep your opinions to yourself. Learn that. You know what I mean? Learn what it's like not to care about what everything and everybody else is caring about. That doesn't mean that you're careless. It just means that you may be very, very sensitive. There are a lot of our people that are water signs, Cancers, Pisces, and they're very sensitive, more sensitive Scorpios, more sensitive than they even think, dealing with other people's emotions, constantly trying. It's not good. We're not made to constantly be informing on one another. Right. So when it comes to moral science now, I would definitely start with reading the Circle 7 Quran, you know what I mean? And understand that Moors existed before Noble Drew Ali.
Right.
And Noble Drew Ali is the prophet, but the prophet, like all prophets, doesn't mean that they're perfect or infallible. And that no one should be worshiping anybody, especially nobody should. Revering, admiration is different than worshiping.
Right.
I never read anything that the prophet said worship him as God. I never read anything like that.
Exactly. It's not in there.
I read the opposite. I read that it all starts with you. What are you going to do with all this stuff I've given you? Therefore, I would not make him a mystery God. You know what I'm saying? Same way they done made Father Allah and the nation gods of earth a mystery God, or whoever. Whatever leader, because these leaders were chosen. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, they weren't always chosen by us. You know what I'm saying? Yet, we're supposed to take the good part and don't care about the poor part. So the best part of the meal is what you remember. You don't think about the part of the meal that you didn't like. Like when you eat a good thing of fish, for those people that eat fish, you think more about the fish and less about the bones. You see what I'm saying? Because you want the good meal. So the bone is a means to an end to get there. So you don't curse the bone for the fish meal. You understand?
Exactly.
You just eat the meal and spit the bones out. So it's the same thing with reality. You take the best part for yourself. You don't care about the poor part. And the part that is poor, you do the knowledge to make sure that that poverty doesn't inset in you. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's what I would do. I would definitely do research on any organization that you choose to be a part of if you want to do that. But don't feel that because you're a part of an organization that you have to stay there. Right. These are all schools of thought. Mm-hmm. And a lot of us been through a lot of them. However, the Moorish thing was always at the top for me because that's what it seemed like everybody else was low-key fronting on and not trying to build it. Right. So I always go to the root, you know? Yeah. And on record, the Moors are the ones that are on file all over the world fighting against Rome. So anybody down with that, I'm down with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, indeed, man. And I like what you said about the aspect of studying both sides. Like that, you dropped a jewel. A lot of people may not catch that. The fact that you have to, in order for you to be balanced,
Yes.
even if you subscribe to a certain thought pattern, know the other side.
Yeah.
For the purpose of having that balance. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, like I've met elders that I've learned from, you know what I'm saying? And you know, even low-key like endorse me, but it doesn't mean that I knew every intricate thing about this person. You get what I'm saying? And it wasn't my place to get into another grown man business about whatever it is they're doing and not doing. Like, I'm not there for that. I'm there to learn what it is that we're here to learn today.
Yeah.
So I've been around elders where I've had that ability to sit there and soak it up, do the knowledge or whatever, and not expect nothing else from them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And not get caught up in what their opinion is and not feeling like I gotta agree or defend every opinion that they have. You know what I'm saying? Because his job as an elder is to get me, the young one coming up, what I need so I can disseminate it how I do, not to just be a mouthpiece for him or her.
Exactly.
But what these guys are doing is infusing. I watched people buddy hustle up to other people in the community, other elders or whatever, and literally try to become them. Or create circumstances where these elders gotta only be dependent on them. So that way, whenever people think of this elder, they think it is God too. You know what I'm saying? And now they can now inhabit that space that they always wanted to be in with that person. But it wasn't to be with that person, it was to replace that person.
Supplant it. Yeah.
Supplant them, usurp them, and then make everybody else forget about you. Like right now in comic book, the reason why American comics is going into the toilet, and people who don't even read comics, like they got Walter Mosley writing the Thing comic right now. Like, what? but I'm gonna get it because Walter Mosley, right? So who knows? Right. But I'm like, what? But anyway, they're doing this because the agenda is to destroy the male heterosexual archetype of the hero. So you'll notice in movies or TV shows or whatever, they have a thing now where they'll take the old character who you knew and loved and grew up with or whatever, and they'll do something to make that character seem weak or whack or messed up or whatever, and then they'll bring another character in to take the name over. But this character is worse. Like the new, so they're creating a form of gender dysphoria in the medium. You see what I'm saying?
Just to your point, you mentioned Dr. Strange. How, because people who don't read his comics, they wouldn't know it. In the movie, his teacher is a woman, but in the comic, it's a man.
It's a man,
he's
right?
Bald in the movie,
switched.
So that's just to your point.
And he's Asian.
Exactly.
They made it a white woman, a white British woman, who's supposed to be ancient, because we got to put you in your mind in the fantasy realm that white people been here before you. Just like in the new Eternals movie, the Eternals represent the first super beings on the planet to come or whatever. And one of them is a black dude, the dude from ATL, but then he's gay. You know what I'm saying? But then the Salma Hayek character that's in it, she actually was the black dude in the comic book. Who was not, you see what I'm saying? So everything is gender swap, everything is race swap. Nothing can be what it is. So then they say, oh, well, it's fiction. Why do you care if they switching up fiction stuff or whatever? Because it still is there's still a context by which the hero's journey, regardless to what it is there to inspire humans to a better role. That's why all movies ended on a high note. It wasn't until the end of the 90s that they started making movies where it was always a downer, where the dude actually did wind up dead, where the dude actually did wind up, you see what I'm saying? Because they trying to show you that there's no hope. So Superman, who was a symbol of hope, whether it's white, I did a whole thing on that and showed how the whole science of him is based on the Moors and all of that, right? But that's irrelevant. Does that mean, so I know all of that, but guess what? I still like Christopher Reeve Superman. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I still liked Man of Steel when it came out with Henry Cavill or whoever his name is. Like, just because I know that they're using this to destroy the archetype of the original man and woman, doesn't mean I still can't enjoy the entertainment and separate the two.
Exactly.
Because a Black Superman does exist. But why do I need a Black Superman? Why can't I just have another character? You see what I'm saying? That's distinct within itself, that is not Superman, but it's just as good. You see what I'm saying? They won't let you do it. So because the real thing is that they can't create anything new. Like Black Panther, the whole Black Panther movie is cursed. The whole thing is cursed. It's cursed. Not because I say so, but they downplaying it. The other day, the chick Shuri, on the low, that's just me. To the right is what his name is. What I do know though is that you can have every other character, so every other character is going to be in the Black Panther except the Black Panther. So I don't want to see it.
Exactly. Defeats the point.
Because when Christopher Reeve died, they didn't kill Superman. You know what I'm saying? Think about that. How many people didn't play? Superman had a curse on it. Everybody that played Superman from George Reeves died up until they flipped the curse with Henry Cavill and was able to stop it with him. But everybody that played him was dying. So now, look to the right. She wound up getting things right after she signed these multiple contracts with them, knowing that it's cursed, just to keep their money. They'll do it. And I know there's a brother named Ambassador Prince Michael. He doesn't holler at them about it. Wow. He doesn't let them know about it. When Chief Omachi died,
wow,
they still gonna do it. You understand that Chadwick Boseman died on Jack Kirby's birthday? Come on, man. So
right.
You can put whoever you want in it. Put Submariner in it, put Storm in it, put Black Iron Woman in it. I don't care. I don't care. That's why you gotta put everything else in it. Because in the end, you don't want the original archetype of the strong original man on his own, running his own country. You don't want that. You'd rather have that be played by a female. Because the guise is that we as Black males have always been a matriarchal system, and that patriarchy is evil. They got us believing that all our grandfathers raped our grandmothers now. They got us thinking that anything dealing with a heterosexual Black man, these are the new white men. These are the new white supremacists, us. The ones that's not trying to deal with none of it. The ones that don't want a so-called original woman with a blonde weave or anything like that, that wants her to be healthy and not morbidly obese. That if I say that to her now I'm fat shame her. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I'm saying. This is what it is with our people. We just got to get to a point where we stop worrying about what everybody else is doing, man, and just do us. Exactly. And for more specifically, I think we need to do that and weed out in our own communities who the dirty ones is and all of that, and handle that privately. Because what they're really doing with this attack on the conscious community, or the conscious community attacking itself, or whatever's happened, what they're really doing is trying to get rid of anybody that existed at the time that it existed before the conscious community was on the internet, or anybody connected to the original organic aspect of it. So we can move all those people out and then replace them with these new types of people that have no relationship with it, not really with it at all, none of that. They now could be the new YouTube people, and now the corporate interests can still run that, and now the new conscious community is filled up with people, you know what I'm saying, that was never in it. You see? And now they can put who they want into it. The same way they created the industry plant like Tekashi, and they created an industry plant like Lizzo, and the industry plant like this. You think they're not doing that in the conscious community? They have some sort of criminality. They have extensive jail records and stuff like that. Like what happened to just coming out of college and going into this? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
What happened in all of that? Or they have to negate the fact that they had regular jobs. And so they couldn't do it as much. There's a lot of people that came who had a lot of great knowledge in the community, but couldn't sustain it because they actually was in their real life. And they was actually not trying to be out here robbing and stealing and conning people.
Exactly.
And didn't want to deal with what it is now.
Yeah. That's a fact. That is definitely a fact. And so that said, honest to you for being one of the ones who are truly standing up, and still keeping the integrity.
Thank you, brother.
Absolutely, brother. And I want to take a special honors to your wife as well. I know she couldn't make it.
Yeah, she couldn't make it, man. She was trying to get her orders out.
Absolutely. And just let everybody know, I'm a supporter as well.
That's what's up,
you know what I'm saying? Got my Rosemary baby.
Islam. Thank you, brother.
Absolutely.
That's what's up, man.
Definitely, bro. So for everybody, go check her out. That's CordobaOrganics.com, correct?
That's right. CORDOBA organics.com. Definitely check that out. I was also gonna say, for those people, like I used to give, well, I still do, but not so much now. I used to give a lot of book lists and stuff out over the years, but I stopped doing it because I noticed that they started to outprice the books where people couldn't even get them. Right. But there are some that you can still get for beginners, people just coming in and stuff. Definitely get the Circle 7 Quran. And again, if you're a Moor, even if you're not a part of Moor Science Temple of America, it's still a great book. You know what I mean? As a Moor who is domiciled at America to do the knowledge to. You know what I'm saying? I know there's a lot of controversy right now going on with the Prophet based on this book or whatever that came out. And every so often, I notice every like 3 to 5 years, there's always something or somebody that comes out trying to disparage Noble Joe Ali for whatever reason. And again, I'm not so arrogant to sit here and strive to defend a dead man or someone who I look at as inspirational. However, I'm also not so naive to understand that a lot of things that have happened historically haven't accurately been put into the proper context. And therefore, I can't, as much research as I do and all of that, I can't inject my bias into it in a researching situation like that. You know what I mean? I got to look at it for what it is. So until I really do the knowledge to it, you know what I'm saying? I don't really get into that aspect of it. Yeah. But I will say that the movement itself has been infiltrated and messed up officially, I would say, since like 29, you know what I mean? And then once the reorganization in 38 came, and now there was a difference between the temples being those members who existed pre-29, pre-28. And so that's what happened. They created a difference. So the temples was now the people's houses, in which we are all Moor Science Temple now. You know what I mean? And the people had the charter in the house, which then made the house a religious dwelling, which then meant that it couldn't be taxed on the property rolls. You see what I'm saying? And then you had now the physical temples now that people were physically going to, that was now under the whole different moderation thing that they were doing. And then the next schism came by the 40s, and thus here we are. Right. So between all of that time and all of these different people came and all of these different people working to usurp or take or do what they're doing, it created a situation where the Moors, the three branches, in a sense, have ever since somewhat never rejoined. You know what I mean? So you will have Moors trying to do campaigns against other sects of Moors, you see, and vice versa, which then allow all the other groups to come up off of our discord with one another.
Exactly.
So recently, the Supreme Grand Sheikh, D. Bailey Ill, yes, passed and changed form. So definitely want to give honors to him, because that was one of our, regards to what sect you in or whatever it is, that was one of our last direct line connections. You see what I'm saying? From that epoch.
True.
So technically right now, we're kind of cut off from that. You see?
Yeah.
So as we're cut off from that now, we're in this phase now where Moores is looking around, trying to figure out who's going to try to step up and be the next one, you see? But they really can't be.
Right.
And so you're going to have a lot of people jockeying for position, trying to cast other people out the same way it happened before. People, you know, please protect the elder's works or whatever paperwork or whatever ancient stuff he got. And this is the problem. You know what I'm saying? This is where we find ourselves. So I would definitely say Circle 7 Quran, Golden Age of the Moor by Ivan Van Sertima, 10 Years of Secret Diplomacy by Irwin, if you can get that. Diplomatic Relations Between the United States and the Barbary Powers. Get that if you can. African Presence of Early America, African Presence of Early Europe, African Presence of Early Asia, definitely. What else? Primitive Black nations of ancient America, Saga America, America BC, Golden Trade of the Moors, definitely, if you could get that, great one. Othello's Children in the New World.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When Nations Gather, that's a hidden gem. Any books by J.A. Rogers, any books by Prince Riel Bay. Any Black's Law Dictionary between the 1st and the 4th edition. If you go between that, you would go to the 7th. I was bugging because I said that in an interview one day and it wound up in a movie. And get that, definitely. Bouvier's, if you get another Black's Law beside the 1st to the 4th edition, you would do the 7th. And I believe that one has a red cover. And I think that's the only version that has Continental Congress in it.
On the 7th?
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, those are good to start with.
Okay.
Definitely. And I guess that's it for now. I can think of. Go ahead, Mo.
Islam, that's more than enough to start with. You know, anyone who gets that list, they're definitely good to go to start. So definitely gratitude for that. And for you as well, if someone is interested, I know they can check out your videos on your YouTube channel, Aseer the Duke of Tears. Is there any other thing you like to promote as far as how people can contact you, get your work otherwise?
Morzy, excellent, Morzy. Wow. My son just showed me he got 3 sides of the Rubik's Cube. It's pretty good, bro. Yes, anybody wants to hit me up, you can hit me up at houseofl@hotmail.com. You could also, if you want to hit me up with, you know, hit me there for consultations or, you know, anything like that. You can hit me up there. I also do classes every Sunday night from 9 p.m. to 11 online. You can check out www.aseertheduketears.com and www.gumroad.com, and then type in Aseer the Duke of Tears in the chat, and all our classes and stuff come up. I got some new projects coming out in a little while, so definitely look out for that. What else was I gonna say? Anybody wants to send a donation, you can do so via Cash App to $DS418. That'd be cool. And what else? Yeah, on Facebook, as I said, YouTube, as I said, the Duke of Tears, but I have they got a low-key shadow ban on me. So if you subscribe, please subscribe and please share it with other people to subscribe, because, and then also check sometimes, because like they'll take my notifications off. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll try to like lose a subscriber here and there with me. They'll like marginalize, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
No, the game.
So they'll be on that with me. You know what I mean? Also you could check out, being that my queen and I was the first people to step away from the quote unquote general conscious community, you could hear about what that was like on Blog Talk Radio. Go to Blog Talk Radio, type in Super Heru Radio, Aseer the Dugateers, and it should be about 7 years worth of information. 7 years worth of shows, of which we go in specifically as to, in a sense, everything that's happening right now. Almost everything we talking about now, we was talking about then. For not being a part of certain things they was doing up there. You know what I mean? Right. So you want to go and check the archives in that. That's why I don't have to say people's names and go into none of that now, because we was the first ones bombing. We was one of the first ones blacklisted. And a lot of it was because I was with an original woman. And I'm not a Freemason. Right. And she's dark skinned. And I realized very early with a lot of these guys that they're not into that. That a lot of these guys start out in the community with original women, and then later on you start seeing what happened. See what I'm saying? So again, man, I didn't get into this to be ruled over by, I didn't leave the 85 realm to come into the conscious realm and then be ruled over. You know what I'm saying? Or by people who's acting like they got knowledge of self, and they just really don't. They actually hate black people. They actually hate melanated people. And they're in this community to cause more confusion. So those of us who are what they refer to as foundational Americans, meaning that we were actually born here and that we have ancestry that's always been here. Just because you are more or Moorish American doesn't mean that you're claiming to be somewhere else. Because as I told you, all of Africa, the South, there's an article you can pull up that says, you can look it up, it says 250 million year old piece of Africa found in the southeastern United States. So what they're saying is this part, or the part of the United States that they refer to as the Eastern Seaboard, or the southeastern seaboard, from Florida up all the way up to Maine, and then as far in as Atlanta, Louisiana, right, and Chicago. It's basically saying that all of that was the western portion of Africa, which then means that what the prophet said was correct, right? And that also means that what we've been saying has been that this is Northwest Africa, right? Is what we've been saying. Right. And the fact that Africa is a word that was coined that by the Latin speakers, we know that those same Latin speakers are the Moors, right? And who were referring to themselves as Phoenician, Carthaginians, Fomorians, Etruscans, whatever. But then over here, they developed into what the white man referred to as the barbarous nations, i.e. the barbarous powers. So those barbarous nations, there's a map. Type in the barbarous nations of the United States, and you will see on this map, it shows you the Miccosukee, the Tusalagi, the this, the that, the Seminole, the Delaware, all of that. So what they basically saying is the barbarous nations are those Barbary powers, or those Moorish nations that were already here, that were redesignated and now called Indians. So why would you call Indians Barbary? Barbarians, you see what I'm saying? Right. When you told us that you refer to Indians as savages. So which one is it?
Right.
The barbarous nations got to be the Moors that was already here, who were broken up into so-called clans or prides that then fell under these names like Apache, Comanche, Paiute, Ute, Panahasua, Seneca. That's why you got the Seneca here, and then you got the Seneca over there in Africa. That's why you got the tribe, the Zulu. There's a tribe of so-called Indians called the Zulus, the Catawbas. the Mohegans, the Mohawks, the Montabas, the Mantibos, the Ojibwe. All of these are Moorish names.
Yeah.
The term Muslim is a Moorish name. Is a American word. It's a Delaware word that came from the Delaware, so-called Delaware Moors. And we know that they are Moors. And they were called they called the term Muslim meant ancient fife holder. So when the prophet called us Muslims, he's using it from the context of an American word. See what I'm saying? So we are home. We are in Africa. We are in Morocco. Like, it's all the same place for us.
Right.
It's just been mixed, matched, and flipped up so much that people don't follow the through line. But the Moorish thing is the through line between the real history and the artificial history that was created in 1581 with the creation of the intercessionist by the so-called papal see. And that's it, man. So when you say that you are Moor and you're saying, so when you say you're Moor, you are saying you're Tasalagi. You are saying you're Moabite. You are saying that you're Seminole. You are that. You're just not using the inferior designation that negates the legal and the lawful application of that in real time. That's why you declare your nationality. That's why you establish an identity outside of that which was created by the stupid Greek people around you. Because again, the term Greek or Grekos, again, mean slow or cracker. This is where we get cracker from too. It means slow people. So anybody using Greek anything and acting like that place existed prior to 1965 is a damn lie. Or whenever Greece was founded. I think it may have been founded like in the 70s, bro.
Wow.
I gotta look at the date. Look at the date as when the Greece was founded. I'm not talking about the fake Greece from the old time. We're talking about that. Half of these African countries, your grandmother older than them.
Right, right.
You understand?
Yeah.
At the Olympics this year, Zimbabwe had a bunch of Chinese people acting for them. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
So in the end, Mo, it's all we got. You know what I'm saying? We all we got. And we need to learn to love each other more than we hate. And we need to give each other the room to be wrong sometimes. And stop trying to make it that just because you liked the information that this person was providing means that you were somehow supporting the entire criminal activity. Like, that's not true. Not everybody that was paying into these pundits was actually doing it from the perspective of trying to support them as criminals, because they didn't know that they were criminals.
Exactly.
They didn't know.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Stop blaming the people. Stop making fun of people, telling Black people how stupid they are.
Right.
Like, none of us are at the level of geniushood where we could see something in hindsight in the moment and know. Everybody's a genius in hindsight.
Yep.
Everybody's a work in progress. Does not mean the movement is that. Does not mean that the people who was actually supporting them knew any of that.
Yeah.
Because if they was up front with it all, it wouldn't have got off the ground. So just like the comic industry, just like the music industry, we got to use a patsy. Give them the script. See what I'm saying? When in actuality, he never was.
So you say we got a bunch of Tekashi 6ix9ines up in the...
Yes.
Up in the
Yes. For years, me and my queen just made it out by the skin of our teeth, man. Try to blacklist us. I'm a Moor, and I'm not going to participate in y'all little whatever y'all doing, y'all little pageant y'all doing. And I'm dropping down to the people. I'm snitching to the people and letting people know this is what they doing. That's why, like I said, if people go back and listen to them 7 years worth of shows of Superhero Radio,
right,
we done went through all of it because it was happening to us when it wasn't popular, when everybody was riding these people, going to lectures where they was telling people that Duke was going to teach you how to set fires with your mind.
I remember that.
Remember that?
I remember it. Yep.
So he gonna teach you to be a pyrokinetic, set fire with your mind, but to people who can't even pay their rent on time, like, people don't even have no place to live. So again, man, thank you for having me on, bro.